Okay, other mistake.
I would say another mistake that band directors of all ages make, including myself, is underestimating the importance of soft playing. You know, underestimating how something just crystal clear and soft and balanced beautifully can be way more effective than something just loud and raucous, etc. So I think exploring the subtle side of things is, or not exploring the subtle side of things in music is something that I constantly comment on. When someone will ask me to come in and watch them conduct or watch them rehearse a band, you know, I'll say, have you thought about maybe bringing this down a little bit more? Most of the responses I'll get are like, oh, yeah, we were going to get to that. But you know, as directors, a lot of times we never do. You know, we forget that the subtle part of music is what makes the louder part more exciting. And so that would be another thing.
Okay, so when you're talking about music, and I know it's tough to quantify, but a raw or rough percentage of I've got 1 hour to work on a rehearsal, how much should be spent on fundamentals that are not specific to the piece versus time spent on techniques or issues related to the piece?
Well, I'll just tell you what we do. We're big believers in that you can rehearse a piece of music to death and still sound terrible if your ensemble's not good.
I've got proof of that.
Yeah, well,
in
so
my
do
own.
I. So do I. But I think it's really important to decide what the band needs. Like, one of the things that and I'll just talk again from a clinician experience, people will have me come in and listen to their bands, and they're playing really difficult music and asking the kids to do all these things, but yet the kids don't really understand what playing in tune is. And so my question then to the director, and it's usually a younger director, and I did the same things when I was young. I made the same mistakes. I'm sure I do occasionally now with those kind of things. But I would say, let's take a step back for a second, and if you really want me to rehearse this group for the next hour, let's not work on the music. Let's work on their sound. And that's what I find myself doing, whether it's in the marching band setting or the concert band setting. I was speaking to a good friend of mine, Jeff Young, who we both know.
Yeah, Jeff, an amazing guy with the dynamic.
He told me a story a couple years ago about going out to a band to work, and he got on a plane, I think, and flew for like 3 hours to see this band, and they had their show on the field, and they just wanted to know what Jeff thought. And Jeff said, well, can I work the band for a while? After he watched the entire show on the field, he said, can I work the band? And Jeff said he worked for 2 straight hours on just the fundamental of making a good step, of looking good, making one step forward. He said he worked for 2 hours on it. And he said after he finished with it, he said the band was completely different when they did their next run through, even though they had never rehearsed the show. And so that's the thing that I think directors forget about, is we tend to say we'll clean or we'll do basics after we get our music picked or whatever. And I think it needs to be the other way around. You know, I think you listen to your band, you decide what you need to do. Do we need more scale work? Do we need more chorale work? Do I need to bring in private teachers? You know, do we need to change reeds? Do we need to do this? You know, and then let's talk about what the band has a good chance of being successful on playing once.
Okay, so let me ask you a
question. And I kind of rambled there, sorry.
No, you didn't. And I say this in all deference to Richard and all the other wonderful groups that are out there. If you blindfolded me and you had 10 bands play an F-tuning chorale, I could pick out the Carmel band. And it's not better or worse than other wonderful groups, but you have a very distinctive sound in your group. Is that something you hear in your head first, or are you responding to what you hear in the group, or both?
It's a personal thing with me.
Where'd you get that sound then?
I think from a lot of people, I think mainly from Ray Kramer, I think. You know, because even...
Explain to folks, I'm sure they all do, but just real quick,
yeah, Dr. Kramer is just retired from the Indiana University School of Music and was there for years. He's probably known, I would guess he's known as one of the top conductors in the world, I mean, literally in the world.
And I'm sure everyone does, but there may be some young teachers who don't know who Ray is.
Yeah, and if not, you want to get a chance to go to a clinic sometime where Ray is presenting a clinic, or you want to, especially as a younger conductor, go watch Ray rehearse an all-state band or an honor band. You know, just go wherever you can go to watch Ray Kramer rehearse.
Okay, so you've got this sound in your ears you got from yourself and from Ray. I have to ask this question. Does that sound change from Wind Symphony 1 to the Carmel Marching Greyhounds?
No.
So,
and if it does, then I've made a mistake.
So you would tell people out there that your belief system, what you're advocating, is that the sound doesn't change regardless of the performance venue or the performance ensemble.
Right. Exactly.
Now, you also teach jazz band. Would you say the same thing about jazz band?
Jazz is different. You know, as a matter of fact, the first thing I do, I actually do the youngest of our 4 jazz bands, and I love working with the beginning kids. I did the top band forever, and since I'm traveling more, I just felt like it was a little unfair to those top ensemble members. And I work with the younger group now and absolutely love it because nice background.
You see his eyes light up? It's fundamentals for him. I mean, if they played Hounds of Spring, he wouldn't care, but a good lip slur and he's all a getting.
But I think the reason I know we're making good progress in that area at Carmel is because we rehearse marching band before and after school. It's never during the school day. Right. But our concert bands always meet during the school day, even when marching season is going on. And I think when I listen to Wind Symphony 1, for example, play their first downbeat, if we were doing something really different in marching band, I would have to say, okay, now all you marching band kids, easy. I never have to do that. Because the sound is pretty much the same. Are there moments you have to play with extended moments of volume in marching band? Yes, there are. Should that change your sound? No.
Okay, last question. You said something in the clinic that it really did strike me. It was a phenomenal clinic. You said you've got to force yourself to go places where you don't want to go.
Exactly.
Can you explain to them what you meant by that?
Yeah, you know, we get so caught up sometimes in rehearsing our bands that we forget about what the basis of our band is built on, and that's our low instruments. Instruments like tubas, bass clarinets, bass saxes, bassoons. And what I found is the more that I go in and listen to those groups play and work with them on tuning, on listening, on embouchure, on air usage, on their music, the better our group gets because the foundation of our group is better. Most people don't want to hear what their low woodwinds sound like, and rightfully so. The first time I did it a few years ago and just really zeroed in on my low woodwinds, I was embarrassed as a teacher. I felt bad for those kids. I just felt like, okay, I'm done. I need to be out. Because if that's how some of my kids sound, it was terrible. You know, and now I've realized how important those are. And the bass clarinet, the bassoon sound, the bari sax sound. Someone mentioned to me at a clinic, they said, you know, every time you start tuning with the band, with the Saucedo band we saw you do, one of the next instruments you bring in after the tuba was the bari sax. And I'm like, yeah, what's one of the instruments that people complain about the most as far as the sound in the concert band setting? It's the bari sax. So I try to work with them on blending with the tuba more, you know, playing better in tune, not getting such a reedy sound in concert band. And the more we work on those kind of things, the ensemble just has this solid basis to build itself on. And I think more directors need to go in there and dig in a little bit. It's scary. It's scary. It's scary.
So thank you for spending your time with us, and we hope that it's been as fruitful as it has for us. You're just an extraordinary educator, Richard.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Know you.
Thank you.
Take care, my brother.
All right,
and that's it for webisode number
11.
Yeah, baby. That's how we roll. Take care. Bye-bye.